Hey there, welcome to the Stormwater World podcast. After 10 years in the stormwater industry, I feel like I've only scratched the surface of all there is to learn. I believe there are a lot of people just like me who are curious, but we're all just so busy. So I'm going to ask the questions so we can get the answers together. My name is Ty Garman, and I'm your host. Join me as we learn about what is happening in the stormwater world. Hey, everybody. Welcome to this episode of the Stormwater World podcast. I'm excited to have a good friend of mine on today, TJ Mullen, president of Best Management Products. TJ, welcome to the pod. Appreciate you being able to come on and visit with me today.
Hey, Ty. Glad to be here. Appreciate you having me.
Thanks, man. So let's just get in it. Let's just get right into it. It's crazy to me, right? So like I've known you for years. We've seen each other at conferences. The Snout has over 90,000 installations across the country. So in my mind, everybody knows who you are. Everybody knows the product. But in reality, that's really untrue. Like there's still plenty of people out there that don't realize what it is that Best Managed Products does, and that there is the solution that is the Snout for trash capture, along with the other stormwater quality devices that your company offers. So let's just start there. Can you kind of go over, who is Best Managed Product? What do you offer, and how are those products beneficial in the stormwater world?
Well, absolutely. First of all, again, thanks for having me. I'm going to set the record straight on some things, though. We have over 100,000 installations at this
point.
Fault.
I shorted you. My bad.
The Snout's been around for almost 25 years now. So, that's only 4,000 a year if you look at it that way. But things have definitely accelerated. The interesting thing is, even though there's 100,000 installations, which certainly makes us one of the most popular stormwater quality devices in the country, when you look at that as a percentage of how many stormwater structures go into the ground every year, I mean, that's somewhere between 750,000 and 1 million structures that go in every year.
Wow.
So my way of thinking is that every stormwater structure should have a Snout in it. So we have a lot of potential for growth. When you think about it, if you're going to all this trouble to dig a hole, connect it to a pipe, and drain stormwater away from whatever you're trying to do, I say if you touch the stormwater, improve it, make it better. So every opportunity you have to interact or touch stormwater, improve it. And the Snout has proven to be a very cost-effective and just flat-out effective device in over 100,000 cases. So we know that there's several 100,000 more cases that are just waiting to be made. So what do we have? It all starts with the Snout. That's our original product, and it's a vented hood that sits inside a stormwater structure with a sump. And that means that the pipe is not at the bottom of the structure. There's depth beneath the bottom of the pipe. In just typical terms, a minimum of 3 feet for pipes that are 12 inches or smaller. And then that sump depth should increase depending on the pipe size. And that's important because you want to have the room and the volume to capture all of the solids and floatables and things that putting a snout in the structure allows you to do. So anyway, that's the keystone of our system, the Snout water quality hood. And then we have several accessories that improve the performance of the Snout.
Hey, but before you go on the Snout, is that a device that, can I only install that under new construction, or what if I have existing structures? Can it be retrofitted in, or how does that work?
Sure. As long as the structure has a sump in it. And then again, that's that volume beneath the bottom of the pipe. As long as that structure has a sump in it, you can very likely retrofit a Snout. In fact, we actually even make some split Snouts. So the Snouts come in sections so you can fit them through a grate frame opening or like a manhole opening. So retrofits are a big part of what we do, but it really only makes sense when you have a deep enough sump in that structure to make the thing function properly.
Gotcha. So not only do you have these available for whatever project's going on out there based on standard standard structures that exist that you actually will build to spec if necessary, and if it makes sense, or will obviously work in my existing structure.
Yeah. I mean, split snouts are stock products for us.
Gotcha.
And you can see those on our website. And of course, I think you were suggesting this, but we do custom products all the time as well.
Oh, okay.
An end user may have a specific application that we don't make a stock product for. We'll certainly help the end user or the engineer, the designer, or the contractor design a custom product. That's more time consuming and it's more expensive, but it's something that we do all the time.
Gotcha. In fact, I think on your website, if I've done my research correctly, that people can actually go to your website and put in information. I think it's called the spec a snout, and they can kind of figure out what it is they need. You want to kind of touch before we go on to the next product? Do you want to kind of touch on how that works?
Sure. So there is a tool on our website called the spec a snout tool, where you can do things like input the shape of the structure. And by that, I mean, is it a box, a rectangular box with flat walls, or is it a round manhole type structure with rounded walls? So that's the first thing you want to do. You'll say, do you have a flat wall structure or a round wall structure? And then we'll ask you to input the pipe size, your outlet pipe size. And then with the outlet pipe size and the shape of the structure, you'll get some recommendations on what size snout might be appropriate for your particular project. One of the things that's important is that when the different snout options come up, there will always be a recommended maximum flow rate. So if you find that your flow rate is higher than what we recommend for that particular snout model, just upsize the size of the snout. The bigger snouts can handle more flow. But maybe more important than anything, if you have questions, we have engineers on staff.
Gotcha.
Of them, and Matt, our chief of engineering, can help. So that we have engineers that will help you size the appropriate snout for the appropriate project.
Awesome. So as you were saying, so what's next?
So the most popular accessory for the snout is something called the bioskirt. And the bioskirt is a product that is for hydrocarbons. It allows not just for the separations to occur in the structure, but for these oils, the emulsified oils, PAHs, your free oils, to actually be captured and absorbed into this boom structure, and they'll be retained. They won't just get mixed up and flushed downstream right away. So that's the most popular accessory for the snout. Very simple. There's one size bioskirt, but you use multiple units for bigger snouts.
Okay.
That will, we can help you out with whatever you need. And the spec for the bioskirt, which can be downloaded right from the website, will tell you what the deployment schedule is based on the snout model you're using the bioskirt with. So that's the biggest accessory. The second biggest accessory, and this gaining popularity quite quickly, is called our turbo plate. And our turbo plates are designed to reduce the turbulence and velocity of the stormwater inside a structure. And when you reduce the velocity and the turbulence, you increase the ability of that structure to remove sediment and fine particles like DSS. So there's a number of sizes from 12-inch up to 36-inch, and a 36-inch turbo plate, to give you an example, is actually 3 sections, and it's 72 inches tall. But that is our 36 series turbo plate. So we can handle some pretty large pipes, some pretty high flows. And these are beefy stainless plates that actually you could steer a ship with if you wanted to use them as a rudder. So very substantial. They come in solid. Plates for the inlet pipe, and then the side plates are perforated, and those are what actually reduce the flow, because the wetted perimeter, or the distance that the water has to flow through, is increased, and therefore the velocity is decreased and the turbulence is decreased. So the turbo plates coming on strong. And then we also have our stainless trash screen, which is used for full trash capture. And that's been around for a long time as well. And trash capture is a big issue that a lot of people are dealing with now. So, the focus of what we do is stormwater quality for the urbanized environment, or by urbanized, I mean there's a lot of impervious surface where you're collecting stormwater on parking lots, roadways, rooftops, and then you're concentrating that stormwater into some sort of a structure, which then goes into a pipe. And then our parts fit inside those structures. And like I said right at the opening, our point of view with stormwater management is if you touch that stormwater, and by touching it, I mean you bring it from the surface to under the ground.
Right.
You might as well make it better, right? If you
Right.
touch it, my mom always said, leave it better than how you found it.
Right.
And that's kind of the design ethic for BMP. We want you to leave that stormwater a little bit better than how you found it going in. And with some really simple devices, you can make that happen. So that's what we're about.
Very, very straightforward. And, and thinking about it, over 100,000 installations. And what year did you start doing?
1999.
25 years, right? So then that's
coming up on 25 years.
So that makes you're the OG. You're the original trash vented hood trash capture stormwater quality device. The Snout.
Yep.
Gotta be the original, right?
There were there have been these big heavy cast iron hoods that went over the outlet pipes of combined sewers to primarily to keep sewer gases from exiting into the atmosphere. But then secondarily, they also skimmed off some trash and floatable debris. Those have been around for a while, but it was kind of typically like a one-size-fit-all thing. And they really weren't thinking so much about stormwater quality because these were combined sewers. Well, we changed that. And then we decided to add a vent to the hood that would prevent it from siphoning, because one of the things that we found originally, people were using downturned elbows or these solid hoods, and they were still getting a lot of trash downstream. And, what we discovered was that during a high flow situation, when the stormwater would surcharge the structure, and that means fill it up above where the pipe is, when that flow receded after the storm started to give way, you actually would develop a siphon in that pipe, and you could suck the pollutants down even to the very bottom of the hood, which might be a couple inches beneath the pipe flow line. So we're like, well, these are siphoning. So they're actually, if you're using them for stormwater quality, for floatables control, it does nothing for you. So all we did was add an anti-siphon vent that was like a vacuum breaker on a hose. Have you ever seen those nozzles that are kind of on your hose that prevent you from sucking water back into the system?
Right. Yep.
It's really nothing more than that, but on a stormwater hood. But it made a huge difference in that our hoods can't siphon. So that technology was added to the device right at the beginning, and has made a big impact on its overall effectiveness. And then, we made them for a bunch of different sizes. We have over 25 models of hoods, and ranging in pipes, from 4-inch pipe up to 60-inch pipe. We make huge hoods. And I know you're from Texas, Ty. Some of the biggest hoods we make end up in your state because,
of course,
it's got to be big, right?
Everything's got to be bigger in Texas. Well, that was a great explanation. And again, it's interesting. So simple and effective. That's exactly what you're describing in my mind. To where is an interesting problem, and then you came up with a very simple solution to make the Snout even more effective than it already was. Not to put you on the spot, I have done some interviews already with some other manufacturers, and in the ugly word, I'm gonna cuss at you real quick in the stormwater world. I'm gonna say the word maintenance. Yikes! That's a cuss word in our world. Let's talk about it though. How about maintenance, long-term ownership? Do you have some thoughts on that? Did you like to share in regards to the Snout and the BioScurt turbo plate?
Sure. I mean, if you don't maintain these systems, right? I mean, these systems are effective, And by effective, I mean they capture a lot of stuff. So they capture trash, floatables, and sediment and oil. Well, that stuff doesn't just like magically vaporize. So if you are capturing these pollutants in your structure, you have to remove those pollutants. That is an issue. If you don't maintain the structure, it can't be effective. I mean, if you think of it from just think of a glass of water. Glasses are pretty effective holding water. You empty it, you pour your water in the glass, and it's there.
Right.
But if you keep pouring the water into the glass, what's going to happen, Ty?
Yeah, it's coming out. It's going out.
It's going to come out, right? It's going to spill all over.
Yeah, exactly.
Say, well, this isn't very good. Well, the dude who invented the glass is going to say, well, you're not using it right. It's not this is not a fountain. It's a cup. It's designed to hold a certain amount of water. And that's true for a stormwater structure when you're trying to capture, especially solids. The idea with the stormwater quality structure is that you're letting the flow go through. You're letting the stormwater go through, but the nasty stuff needs to stay behind. But you can't fill the structure up completely with all the nasty stuff. Expect it to be right. I mean, stormwater structures, because of the power of stormwater, will tend to hit some sort of a steady state. It's quite unusual that you actually back the structure up, that it won't take any more flow. What happens, though, is that the pollutants that you capture after it gets beyond whatever your maintenance level is, it just won't capture anything anymore. So all the pollution that comes into the structure just goes right out. We have very specific maintenance guidelines, and those are available for download on our website. And it is something we talk about all the time. But when we look at a structure, say, for instance, Ty, you have a catch basin that has a 4-foot sump.
Okay.
We tell people before that sump gets filled up to 2 feet, or which would be half of the volume of the sump, before it gets to that point, it needs to be maintained, because by the time it gets to that half full condition, steady state will have already set in, and you're really not going to be capturing anything more. So, everybody wants a quick and easy solution, right? They say, oh, well, you should clean it out every year. You should clean it out every 6 months. Oh, I mean, it's good. You've got to set some kind of a guideline. But what we find is the most accurate way is to figure out how much rain you've had, right? Because that's what's bringing the pollution into the structure. So if you've had a season with extraordinarily heavy rain, and it seems like every season we're getting more and more rain in some parts of the country, and then in other parts of the country, we're not getting anything at all. But my point is that it's really how much rain you have that's going to bring pollution into a stormwater structure rather than time. Time is fairly meaningless.
Right. Yeah. If it's not raining, nothing's going. Yeah, that makes sense. Again, simple.
Right. Well, right. Hey, check it every year. But if you've had a lot more rain, you probably ought to check it more often.
Right. A lot of common sense, falling into that category. It feels like. So 25 years in the business, my friend. Where are we going with all this? What's the future of the industry? What do you see? Give me your opinion on what's the next 25 years going to look like.
Well, I think it's really there's two things that are exciting about it. One is that people are more focused on making the most of our water resources. And you can break down water resources in a couple of different ways. You can look at water resources for drinking water or for irrigation or that purpose. And then you can look at water resources as surface waters, places for recreation, go boating and fishing and the kind of things I really love to do. So if you look at it in those two ways, no matter how you slice it, no matter which water resource you're focusing on, you don't want trash and pollution fouling those resources. And as we continue to develop our world, the impacts of that development, creating impervious surface, are going to further impact the quality of surface waters. Now, one of the things that's exciting is that we are seeing better designs that incorporate both design ideas that reduce impervious surface and then combine that reduction in impervious surface, which reduces the amount of runoff, but then combine those with smart structural controls, because you still have to move stormwater around. It's unlikely in most urbanized settings you can just allow everything to filter into the ground. It just doesn't work like that in cities and developed areas, unfortunately. So more and more smart structural controls are being designed that allow us to, like I said, you touch that stormwater, you can clean it up, and you can do it in very cost-effective ways. And there are so many different products or devices or design ideas available now that you can really target what pollution, what your pollutant of concern is, and then what device you throw at the solution. So that was a long-winded answer, but in a nutshell,
No, it's great.
I think it's a very exciting time to be in stormwater because, one, the need to clean up your stormwater runoff has never been greater, and two, the value of water resources has never been more important. Whether it's water for, like I said, for potable drinking, or for irrigation, or for recreation. The value of water resources has never been more important. And I think that, if you look deeply at issues like geopolitical issues, there are many people saying that the next set of wars, the next international conflicts are more likely to be over water than anything else.
Yeah, 100%. I think one of our previous episodes, I think the title is water the next oil? I think that was the title of the episode. Because of what's going on with water rights and just water availability, all those things, just on a global scale.
You can get by without oil for a while. You can't get by without water.
Yeah,
that's a non-negotiable. Right. So at any rate, there's no question that that's going to be one of the sources of maybe the largest source of geopolitical conflict for the foreseeable future. So I think that if you are in that space where you have the opportunity to improve the quality of water by whatever method, and thank goodness there's so many different methods, but if you're in that space trying to improve the quality of water, you're in the right space.
Well, you mentioned geopolitical, and we've got a few minutes left. I mean, the infrastructure bill, I have to share my own ignorance. I don't know where it's at or what's going on with it right now. I do know that it exists, and I know you and I have had conversations offline in the past regarding it. Do you want to kind of share your thoughts on how that could be beneficial to our industry?
Sure. Well, I mean, there's almost $500 billion of some of that money that's dedicated to, improving stormwater quality. And the latest legislation, the infrastructure package that was passed last year, makes no quarrels about, structural devices and devices that, may be different or may have some sort of intellectual property value. Those products are allowed to be used on federal projects. And they have been in the past as well, but it was made clear in this bill that you can actually use, as long as it's cost effective, you can pretty much use the products that you want to use. Now, the one thing that I will say is our products are 100% made in the United States, made in the USA.
Nice.
As with all federal building projects, there are, made in USA, by USA provisions, and you'll find them on the federal level, state level, oftentimes the county and municipal level. But one of the things that we've been super proud of in our almost 25 years is our products are 100% made in the USA. They're shipped by U.S. workers on U.S. carriers, in U.S. warehouses and U.S. production facilities. So we're made in the USA. We're proud of that. And I think that's going to be a benefit to people that use our products on these projects going downstream.
I mean, that's not only, I think that's amazing. Plus, just with lead time, lead time on projects, the fact that you're able to, obviously, if it doesn't have to be put on a boat and get here, then you can deliver faster than somebody that has their stuff on a boat, period. Regardless of,
no question.
all that kind of, proud to be an American thing, which I am very proud, but but yeah, I mean, that's awesome. I don't even know. I guess I did realize that you guys were fully made in the USA. So that's awesome. Well, as we wrap up, any final thoughts, anything that maybe I missed or that you would just like to share with the listeners, stormwater in general, specific to BMP, something about yourself? Any parting wisdom, TJ?
Hey, listen, there's even though there's 100,000 plus of our products in the ground, there are millions of stormwater structures that would be perfect homes for snouts and our devices like bioskirts and turbo plates. Give those critters a home. In fact, even on our website for municipal entities, like a government entity, we actually have a program called Adopt a Snout.
There we go. Yeah, I forgot about that. Let's talk about Adopt a Snout. Let's explain that to everybody.
Absolutely. Where if you're a government entity, and that could be federal, state, municipal, what have you, and you haven't tried a snout yet, we will give you a free one to try. Because
awesome.
The discussion about whether it works or whether it doesn't work, hey, there's different applications, and there's no product that works right for every application. But rather than getting into that discussion, we'll say, hey, listen, we'll give you one for free. You try it. We'll give you a free bioskirt too. You try it, and then you let us know whether it works for you. It's been a very successful project.
I bet.
For us. And
that's awesome.
So there are snouts looking for homes, and the Adopt a Snout the Adopt a Snout program may be a great way to introduce you to the newest member of your stormwater family if you're a municipal or government entity.
Man, that's fantastic. Made in the USA and willing to stand behind the product to the point of I will give you one, and you can see not only is it effective, but how effective is it, and how often do you have to clean it in your particular municipality, and then you can plan accordingly, and you can find all those critters. That's a TJ. That's a professional term for snout. Find all those critters a home.
That's right.
Got. And you're based out of Baltimore personally, and then the shop is the offices are based in
Connecticut,
right? So ship all around the country. So that kind of doesn't matter. If you want to find TJ, all of his contact information, if you have questions for him, those will be in the show notes. You can track him down. And then I know that every now and then you'll come out and you'll do some regional shows. I would assume people can come see you. Are you going to be in Ohio this year?
We're considering Ohio. We've done that show in the past. We're definitely going to do StormCon in Texas.
StormCon. So worst case scenario, I believe that's August or September. Let me look at my calendar. August 28th in Dallas, Texas. You can see and shake TJ's hand and pick his brain on stormwater quality devices, as well as the snout, bioskirt, and the turbo plate. TJ, any final thoughts? I really appreciate you. Say it again.
I said I'll have my boots on.
Yeah. You gonna wear? Do you have a cowboy hat? If you're coming, no cowboy hat.
Maybe a ball cap.
Oh, all right. Well, we'll I mean, I live in Texas. I can't. That would be a lie. I do own some boots. I just don't wear them very often.
Well, right, I grew up in Pennsylvania, outside of Philadelphia, and Philadelphia is actually the home to the Stetson Hat Company. Most people don't even know that, but
I was unaware.
I don't think I have a Stetson, so I protected that.
It's all right. We love to have you in Texas, brother. I appreciate you being on the podcast. Thank you so much, and we will we'll talk to you soon.
Sounds great. Thanks for having me, Ty.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Stormwater World Podcast. Do you have something you'd like to discuss? Do you have an opposing opinion regarding something you heard during this episode? Let's talk about it. Click on the link in the show notes to sign up for a future episode. I'd love to visit with you about what's happening and how you see things unfolding in your stormwater world.